After 20 years in goal, I've made every mistake in the book. And trust me, there are 5 things I really wish I knew when I was starting out. Here's the good news though, you don't have to learn the hard way like I did, because in today's video, I'm going to share those 5 lessons with you so you can start improving faster with a lot less trial and error. What you learn today could be the difference between staying stuck or becoming the keeper you always wanted to be. Before you even start dreaming about those highlight reel saves, let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a goalkeeper fly through the air, pulling off one of those impossible top corner saves? It looks incredible, right? And if you're anything like me when I started out, you probably think that's what makes a great goalkeeper. I was so obsessed with those big dramatic moments, those flashy saves that get everyone talking, but while I was busy chasing them, I completely forgot what really matters. I wasn't paying attention to my footwork, I wasn't focused on my positioning, and because of that, everything was a mess. Mistimed dives, getting caught out of position, fumbling balls I should have caught easily. And here's the thing that hit me later on. Those spectacular saves don't just come from raw talent or being super athletic. They come from something much simpler. Think about it like building a house. You wouldn't start by putting up the walls before laying a solid foundation, right? And goalkeeping is exactly the same. I know it might sound boring, but the basics are your foundation: positioning, footwork, handling. If you don't have those locked in, everything else crumbles. And I've seen so many goalkeepers, including myself, try to skip ahead, focusing on those big saves, thinking that's all that matters. So if I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this: master the basics. Because once you got the basics down, everything else, it just falls into place. And those big moments you've been chasing, they'll start happening more naturally without you even thinking about it. Alright, now that you got the basics down, let's talk about something that no one really tells you. Something that every goalkeeper has to face, but no one likes to admit. You know that feeling when you're giving everything, putting in the work, but you still feel like nothing's clicking? Yeah, I've been there too. It's beyond frustrating. You're out there training hard, putting in the hours, so why doesn't it feel like you're getting better? When I first started, I thought hard work would fix everything. If I just pushed myself enough, it would fall into place, right? But the truth is, it doesn't always happen that way. I'd have days where I dive and miss the ball completely. I'd misjudge crosses and let in goals that made me want to crawl under a rock and disappear. And in those moments, it felt like the whole world was watching, just waiting for me to mess up again. I started to ask myself, am I really cut out for this? Am I ever going to get better? And here's what I wish someone had told me back then. You are going to suck at first, and I mean really suck. I know that doesn't sound very encouraging, but hear me out. You are going to make mistakes, fumble easy saves, and let in goals that make you want to cringe. But guess what? That's completely normal. It's all part of the process. And I've seen so many goalkeepers go through this. They get frustrated and lose confidence, and some even quit because they feel like they're not improving fast enough. But the truth is, if you're messing up, if you're struggling, it's actually a good sign. It means you're learning. So when things go wrong, and trust me, they will, don't beat yourself up. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Alright, so we talked about how every goalkeeper struggles in the beginning, how making mistakes is all part of the process. But when you face those tough moments, you'll need someone to help you bounce back. You may have a great coach, supportive teammates, and friends and family who always got your back. But at the end of the day, the only person who really needs to lift you up and keep you going when things get tough is you. And I've had plenty of days where I felt like the worst goalkeeper in the world, days where nothing went right, and it felt like every mistake was stuck on replay in my head. And I've also seen other goalkeepers fall into that same trap. One bad game, one bad moment, and suddenly they're doubting themselves. They let that single moment crush their confidence, replaying their mistakes until they convince themselves they're not good enough. But here's what I've learned. If you are not your own biggest supporter, you are going to struggle. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be arrogant or overly confident, but you need to have your own back. So next time things go wrong, instead of beating yourself up, take a step back, remind yourself why you're here, refocus on what you can control, and keep moving forward. Because if you don't believe in yourself, I mean, who will? Alright, now that we talked about backing yourself up when things get rough, there's something else you really need to know, and this one might surprise you. A lot of goalkeepers think their natural talent is all they need to succeed, but honestly, talent is way overrated. Sure, being naturally athletic or having quick reflexes might give you an edge early on, but trust me, it's not what will set you apart as a goalkeeper. I've seen it so many times. Keepers who had all the talent in the world looked like future stars when they first started, but as time went on, they fell behind. And why? Because they relied on talent alone, thinking that would carry them through. Meanwhile, I watched goalkeepers who weren't naturally gifted, who didn't have that immediate wow factor, rise to the top. And it wasn't because they got lucky or they suddenly developed some hidden talent. It's because they outworked everyone else. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not the most talented goalkeeper out there, let me tell you something. That could actually be your biggest advantage. Here's why. When you don't rely on talent, it forces you to develop something way more valuable: work ethic. Hard work beats talent every single time. The keepers who make it, they're not always the fastest, the tallest, or the strongest from a young age. They're the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who show up when no one's watching, who keep pushing when things get tough, and find a way to keep going when everyone else gives up. So don't stress about how much talent you have or don't have. Talent alone isn't going to make you a great goalkeeper. What really matters is how hard you're willing to work. That's what's going to take you further than talent ever could. And hey, if you're ready to put in the work and start improving faster, I've got something that can help. I've put together a self-training program that's already helped over 100 goalkeepers just like you take their game to the next level. It's packed with drills and tips to sharpen your skills, boost your confidence, and finally get the results you've been working for. So if you're feeling stuck and ready to level up, check out the link in the description and join us already today. Alright, so we covered how hard work will take you further than talent ever could, but there's one more thing that you absolutely need to know. As goalkeepers, we're always chasing the next level, always pushing for that next big save, the next challenge, the next big goal. And yeah, don't get me wrong, that is important, that's how we grow, but here's the catch. If you're only focusing on what's ahead, you're missing out on something huge. And I remember one season where I was so caught up in trying to prove myself. Every game felt like a test. But then, during one random training session, everything changed. I made a save that felt, yeah, perfect. And for the first time in ages, I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just in the moment. And that's when it hit me. This is why we do it. That feeling, that love for the game is why we show up early every day to training and why we keep going even when things get tough. It's because we love the challenge, we love the thrill of making that save, the rush of a great game, that feeling of being unbeatable, even if it's just for a moment. If you're not enjoying yourself, if you're not having fun while you're out there, what's the point? Yes, work hard, push yourself, set big goals, but don't forget to enjoy the ride. Because those moments, the ones when you're fully in it, loving every second, those are the moments that make goalkeeping all worth it. Alright, so enjoying the journey is key to becoming a great goalkeeper, but here's something we don't always talk about. Goalkeeping isn't for everyone, and let's be honest, it comes with some challenges that make a lot of players throw in the towel. But what if I told you that overcoming these challenges is not that hard? And if you want to know what these challenges are, and more importantly, how you can conquer them, click this video and let's see if you got what it takes.